Guyana. Beneath the emerald embrace of the Amazon rainforest, Guyana emerges as a realm where vibrant cultures pulse with life and ancient traditions weave seamlessly into modern strides. Nestled on South America's northeastern coast, this captivating land invites explorers to discover its pristine rural villages and dynamic urban landscapes, each fueled by a wave of new prosperity. As you traverse Guyana, the harmony of untouched nature, deep spirituality, and rich heritage unfolds like a living tapestry, offering experiences that linger long after you leave. If the magic of Guyana sparks your wanderlust, show your excitement with a like and join our journey by subscribing for more tales from the world's most intriguing places. Let's dive into the heart of Georgetown and the mesmerizing rural areas that make Guyana truly unique. A glimpse into Guyana, a land of diversity. Guyana is a land of fascinating contrasts, where lush rainforests stretch for miles and cities pulse with modernity, yet the heart of the country beats to the rhythms of its indigenous cultures. The capital city, Georgetown, is the country's largest urban area, brimming with life, energy, and history. It's a place where colonial architecture meets the vibrancy of modern commerce, and where the multi-ethnic society reflects centuries of migration, trade, and exchange. Guyana, officially known as the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, is located on the northern coast of South America, bordered by Venezuela to the west, Brazil to the south, and Suriname to the east. Its strategic position along the Atlantic Ocean has made it a hub for trade and culture. The city of Georgetown, with its population of around 200,000, stands as the beating heart of the country's political, economic, and cultural activities. Founded in the 18th century, Georgetown was originally a British colony, and much of its architecture still reflects the colonial past. The city's grand avenues, historic buildings, and busy waterfront evoke a sense of old-world charm. However, the influence of various immigrant groups over the years, from African slaves to indentured servants from India, China, and the Caribbean, has infused Georgetown with a unique multicultural energy. As we venture into the heart of Georgetown, we'll explore how this mix of cultures has shaped the city's identity, from its cuisine to its festivals and religious practices. The calm rhythms of Georgetown, a contrast to the bustle. While Georgetown's markets and streets are filled with life, there are also moments of tranquility in the city that reflect a different side of Guyana. As we continue our exploration, let's take a look at Georgetown's quieter spaces, where the colonial past still lingers and the pace of life slows down. Walking through the streets of Georgetown, you'll notice the striking colonial architecture that gives the city a distinct historical charm. From the Georgetown Lighthouse, standing tall since the 19th century, to the grand homes that line Main Street, the city offers glimpses into its past. The wooden homes, with their Victorian facades, wraparound verandas, and shutters, are an architectural delight, evoking a sense of Georgetown's old-world charm. At St. George's Cathedral, one of the tallest wooden buildings in the world, visitors can take in the serenity of its interior, with soaring wooden beams and stained glass windows that tell the story of Georgetown's spiritual history. It's here, amidst the silence and grandeur of these historic buildings, that one can truly feel the city's blend of old and new. As we walk through the quieter parts of the city, we pass the National Park and the Botanical Gardens, tranquil green spaces where locals come to relax and escape the chaos of daily life. These areas are a testament to Georgetown's slower pace, where people sit on benches under the shade of century-old trees, children play on the lawns, and families picnic in the cool breeze. There's something special about these pockets of calm, where the rhythms of city life give way to the peaceful hum of nature. This is where Georgetown's dual identity becomes evident, a bustling urban hub that also cherishes moments of serenity. It makes Georgetown a place of contrasts, a place where you can experience the energy of a growing city while still finding pockets of peace that allow you to reflect and connect with the land and its people. The bustling morning markets of Georgetown. Our journey begins early in the morning, just as the sun begins to rise over the Georgetown skyline. The city awakens, and the first stop on our travel documentary is the bustling markets that define the urban landscape. These markets are the heart of Georgetown, where people gather, shop, and exchange news of the day. One of the largest and most famous markets in Georgetown is Stubrup Market. This landmark is not just a place to buy goods, it's a symbol of Georgetown's vibrant energy. As the sun rises, vendors begin to fill the stalls with fresh produce, spices, fish, meat, and various local goods. The scents of tropical fruits, such as papaya, mango, and sarsop, fill the air, while the sizzling sound of street vendors cooking up breakfast treats adds to the sensory overload. Here in the market, you can see the heart of Georgetown's diversity. From the Afro-Guyanese community to the Indo-Guyanese, Chinese, and Amerindian populations, the market serves as a central meeting point where all walks of life converge. You'll hear a symphony of languages: English, Hindi, Creole, and even Chinese, as locals haggle over prices and share stories from the day before. They reveal much more than just a trade in goods. They speak to the city's spirit of community, resilience, and the blending of traditions. Whether it's an elderly woman haggling for the best price on a bunch of bananas or a young man negotiating the cost of fish, the market showcases the daily exchanges that define life in this bustling city. The life of families and communities in the countryside. As we leave the vibrant streets of Georgetown behind, our journey takes us into the serene countryside of Guyana, where life is slower, but no less rich. Here, in the rural villages that dot the landscape, the rhythms of daily life are tied to the land, the seasons, and the agricultural cycles that have sustained Guyana's people for centuries. In the rural villages of Guyana, the day starts early, just as the first light of dawn breaks across the horizon. It's a world apart from the city, where the air is fresher and the sounds are dominated by nature. As we travel further into the countryside, we see small villages nestled along the banks of the Essequibo River, the longest river in Guyana. These villages are home to fishermen, farmers, and families who have lived in harmony with the land for generations. The day begins with the call of roosters, the rustling of leaves, and the gentle hum of village life. For many families, the morning starts with a quick breakfast of cassava bread or bake and saltfish, dishes that have been passed down for generations. Cassava, a root vegetable, is a staple in Guyana's rural diet and is used to make a variety of dishes, including bread and cakes. In the fields, farmers rise early to tend to their crops, which include rice, sugarcane, and cassava. The rhythms of farm life are dictated by the seasons: planting and harvesting, sowing and reaping. The sound of a hoe striking the earth is the heartbeat of rural Guyana, and the sense of connection to the land is palpable. Rural life is quieter, more intimate, and closely tied to the cycles of nature. While Georgetown moves to the rhythm of commerce and modern life, the countryside moves with the seasons, with time dictated by the needs of the land and the natural world. Life in the villages, the soul of rural Guyana. As we leave the urban pace of Georgetown behind, we venture deeper into the rural heartlands of Guyana. It's here, in the remote villages scattered across the country, that the true soul of Guyanese life is found. In the villages, life is still rooted in agricultural traditions, family bonds, and community spirit. Here, time seems to slow, and the rhythm of daily life is dictated by nature, the rising and setting of the sun, the changing of the seasons, and the harvest cycles that sustain these communities. The first thing that strikes you when you visit these villages is the closeness of family and the sense of community. Families live in small, modest homes, often made from wood and palm leaves, with large yards where children play and animals roam freely. The structures, though simple, are filled with warmth, a testament to the strength of family ties that bind the villagers together. The mornings in these rural areas begin early, often before the sun rises. In many households, the first chore of the day is to check on the animals. Cows, goats, and chickens are commonly raised for food, and villagers often spend the early hours tending to them. After this, the women of the household gather around a wooden table to prepare the cassava, a staple in Guyanese cuisine. Whether it's used to make bread, cake, or farine, a type of dried cassava powder, cassava is an essential crop for the rural people. Men typically head out into the fields to work on the farms. Guyana's agricultural backbone relies heavily on rice, sugarcane, and other crops, with some families owning large swaths of land. Rice farming is a key activity, especially in regions like the Pomeroon-Supinam district, where families work together to sow, irrigate, and harvest the grain. The sound of the machete slicing through tall grass or the hum of a tractor in the field is common, echoing the manual labor that supports the livelihoods of these communities. The rural villages of Guyana are not just defined by agricultural work, they are communities that rely on mutual support. When one family needs help with a harvest or building a home, it's common for others to pitch in. This sense of solidarity is deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of rural Guyana. Villages host annual community events where families come together to celebrate local traditions, share food, and support each other. These events often feature traditional music, such as drum rhythms and songs passed down through generations. The entire village participates, and no one is left out. Guyana's rich cultural traditions and spiritual life. In rural Guyana, festivals are a central part of life. These events celebrate Guyana's diverse ethnic makeup, from Indian and African influences to indigenous traditions. The Fagua Holy Festival, celebrated by the Indo-Guyanese community, is a joyous occasion filled with color, music, and dance. People throw colored powders at each other in celebration of the arrival of spring and the triumph of good over evil. Similarly, Emancipation Day, celebrated by the Afro-Guyanese community, marks the end of slavery and is a time for reflection and celebration of African heritage. This day is marked with traditional dances, music, and food, highlighting the resilience of the Afro-Guyanese people. In the indigenous villages, traditional dances, music, and storytelling are integral parts of cultural life. The drum rhythms of the Amerindian tribes echo through the forests, and stories of creation, ancestors, and spirits are passed on from generation to generation. These tales hold not only cultural significance, but also moral lessons that continue to guide the younger generations. Nature and wildlife in Guyana's rural heartlands. As we travel deeper into Guyana's countryside, the natural beauty of the landscape becomes increasingly apparent. The country is known for its rich biodiversity, and the rural areas are home to many unique species of wildlife, including exotic birds, monkeys, and reptiles. The dense forests, winding rivers, and vast savannas are all part of the Guyanese experience. Guyana is home to some of the most pristine rainforests in the world, which are largely untouched by human development. These forests are teeming with life, from the bright colors of the scarlet macaw to the stealthy movements of the jaguar. The rainforests also serve as vital resources for the indigenous Amerindian communities that have lived in Guyana for centuries. These communities maintain a close relationship with the land, hunting and gathering from the forest while preserving its delicate ecosystems. The Kayatur Falls, one of the world's tallest single-drop waterfalls, is a testament to the wild beauty of Guyana's landscapes. Located in the Kayatur National Park, the falls are surrounded by dense forests and wildlife, offering a spectacular view that draws travelers from around the world. The falls are a reminder of the untouched wilderness that still exists in this country, where nature is both majestic and raw. The rivers and wetlands of Guyana are another key feature of rural life. Rivers like the Essequibo, Demerara, and Burbis serve as vital transportation routes for both goods and people. Villages located along these rivers rely on them for trade, travel, and fishing. The rivers are abundant with fish, providing a constant food source for many rural communities. Fishing is a major activity in these areas, with families often spending hours in small boats on the river, casting nets to catch fish. Piranhas, catfish, and tilapia are common catches, and these fish often feature prominently in the daily meals of rural families. The agricultural foundation of rural life. Agriculture remains the lifeblood of rural Guyana. It shapes the rhythms of daily life and supports the livelihood of the people. From rice paddies in the central regions to the vast fields of sugarcane and fruits, farming is both a way of life and a means of survival. Rice is more than just a staple food in Guyana. It is a cultural symbol. The country's rice farming industry has a long history, and it remains one of the largest agricultural sectors in the nation. The rice mills, often located along the Essequibo River, are the epicenter of rice production. Rice farming involves an intensive process of planting, cultivating, and harvesting, a practice that has been passed down for generations. The rural farmers spend long hours tending to their crops, managing irrigation channels to control water levels, and ensuring the fields are free from weeds and pests. Harvesting rice is a communal activity, where families and neighbors join together to collect the crop. It's hard work, but the sense of fulfillment at the end of a successful harvest is immense. In addition to rice, sugarcane is another important crop in Guyana's rural areas. The sugar industry has played a crucial role in the country's economic history, and many families are involved in its cultivation. The process of growing and harvesting sugarcane is labor-intensive, but essential to both the local economy and culture. In some parts of Guyana, farmers also grow tropical fruits like mangoes, papayas, soursop, and passion fruit. These fruits are consumed locally and sold at markets in Georgetown and beyond. The seasonal harvests of these fruits create vibrant festivals in the villages, where people gather to celebrate the bounty of the land. In these festivals, the entire village comes alive with music, dance, and shared meals, creating an atmosphere of unity and joy. The spiritual life and religious diversity of Guyana. Guyana, while rich in its natural resources and cultural practices, is also deeply influenced by its spiritual life. This aspect of the nation is a direct reflection of its diverse population, where multiple religious beliefs coexist harmoniously. As a traveler exploring the countryside and the bustling city, you will find that religion plays a major role in the lives of Guyanese people, from their daily routines to the grandest cultural celebrations. The religious diversity in Guyana is fascinating and offers insight into the historical migration patterns of the population. With people of African, East Indian, Amerindian, and European descent, the religious landscape is equally varied. In rural areas, Christianity is the predominant faith, but the Hindu, Muslim, and indigenous spiritual practices are also deeply embedded in the cultural fabric. As you travel from one community to another, You'll notice that religious symbols and buildings such as churches, mosques, and temples are not only places of worship, but also central to the social cohesion of each village. Christianity, the backbone of spiritual life. For many in Guyana, Christianity is more than just a religion, it's a vital part of daily life. This is especially evident in the rural areas where churches act as both spiritual hubs and community gathering places. The Anglican, Roman Catholic, and Pentecostal denominations dominate, but there is also a noticeable presence of evangelical groups. On Sundays, the rhythm of life in many villages shifts as people head to church for services, and the sounds of gospel music and preaching echo across the landscape. The church is a place not only for worship but also for community outreach, where the needy are helped and social events like fundraisers or local celebrations take place. In the evening, the community gathers for prayer meetings, sharing in both spiritual reflection and a sense of belonging. Christianity, especially in rural communities, fosters a sense of unity and support, often extending to acts of charity and community service. Hinduism and Muslim traditions in rural villages. Hinduism plays a central role in the lives of the Indo-Guyanese communities, particularly in rural areas like the Pomeroon-Supennam region. It's common to find temples scattered across these areas, often serving as places of both spiritual reflection and social gathering. During Hindu festivals such as Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and Phagwa Holi, the entire village comes alive with celebrations. Homes are decorated with small oil lamps, and the air is filled with the sweet scent of incense and traditional foods like roti and paratha. Muslims, too, have established deep roots in rural Guyana. The Eid celebrations are widely observed, and the mosques in the countryside offer not just a place of worship but also act as community centers. Ramadan is marked by fasting, prayers, and social gatherings, where the Muslim villagers come together to break their fasts in the evening, sharing food and creating a strong sense of togetherness. Traditional ceremonies are often conducted in the deep jungle, away from modern interference. The sound of flutes, drums, and chanting fills the air during rituals meant to honor the spirits of the forest. Shamans, or pages, are the spiritual leaders who act as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, performing ceremonies for healing, prosperity, and good harvests. Traveling to these regions provides a rare opportunity to experience the untouched spirituality of Guyana's indigenous tribes, where every element of life is viewed as interconnected and sacred. Additionally, the celebration of Christmas in rural Guyana is a major event, bringing together family members from far and wide. Homes are decorated, and large meals are shared, with local specialties like pepper pot, a traditional stew, and black cake being served. These festivals are not just about religion, they are about celebrating life, community, and the shared history that binds the Guyanese people together. Guyana's future, a country on the rise. Guyana's rural areas, while steeped in tradition, are beginning to experience the winds of change. With its newfound wealth from the oil industry, the country is poised for a transformation that will impact both its urban centers and its far-flung villages. However, with change comes the challenge of preserving the cultural richness that has defined the nation for centuries. In recent years, Guyana has emerged as one of the fastest-growing economies in the world, thanks to its vast oil reserves found offshore. This wealth has brought with it both opportunities and challenges for the rural regions. On one hand, the government and private investors are working to create better infrastructure, healthcare, and educational opportunities for rural communities. Improved roads, bridges, and access to technology are beginning to transform how people live and work in remote areas. However, The rise of the oil industry has also sparked concerns about the environmental impact of rapid development. The rural communities, particularly those living in close proximity to the rainforests and rivers, are worried about the long-term consequences of oil exploration. These pristine ecosystems have provided sustenance and livelihoods for generations, and there is fear that unchecked development could lead to deforestation, pollution, and the loss of biodiversity. In the next decade, rural Guyana may experience significant change, but the spirit of the people, their close connection to the land, and their vibrant cultural traditions will continue to be the heart of the nation. The world is watching as Guyana transitions from a developing country to one of the world's emerging economic powers, and it's clear that the future of Guyana will be built on the foundations of its rich cultural heritage, its agricultural roots, and the resilience of its people. Thank you for joining us on this journey through rural Guyana. We hope you've gained a deeper understanding of the rich cultural tapestry that makes this nation so unique. If you enjoyed this travel documentary, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more immersive travel stories that explore the hidden gems of the world. What part of Guyana's culture or nature fascinates you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.